Welcome to the PowerPoint 2010 Introduction pre-recorded training webinar presented to you by Teach You IT. My name is Kelly Winkler and I'll be presenting all 5 parts of this webinar for you. When we look at the different parts, we've broken them up into different subject matter areas, and I'd just like to go through those for you right now. The first part, getting started, we will look at the screen elements within PowerPoint 2010. We'll also provide you with a user interface orientation, and of course looking at how you can launch PowerPoint with Windows 7, and of course also how to create new presentations. After that, we'll move on to another topic, one of my favourites, fundamentals for consistency. And here we'll look at working with slides, slide layouts, themes, and of course an introduction to master slides. Next, we'll move on to working with text, a very important component. And after that, we'll also look at working with objects. The final topic is called the final touches, and here we'll look at working with slide transitions, previewing a slideshow, packaging a presentation, and also how to print. Your ribbon is located at the top of your window in Microsoft PowerPoint 2010, and it's quite literally the command center to accessing tools and commands that you'll need to utilize in PowerPoint. When we look closely at the ribbon, you'll notice it's broken into core tabs. So for instance, at present I'm sitting on the Home tab. I could navigate across to the Insert tab, and of course there's the Design, Transitions, and so on. Each of these core tabs contain within it groups. So if we're looking at the Insert core tab right at this point, you'll notice the Images group, and within these groups will be tools and commands in context to that group. So for instance, if I wanted to insert an image which happened to be a picture, I would find it nicely and easily. We will go into further detail on the next topic on looking at how to manage your ribbon and to maximize your productivity of working with it. Another important screen element to orientate yourself with in PowerPoint 2010 is the Slides and Outline pane, and this is this area here. It actually contains within it 2 tabs. By default, you'll always come into the slides, and through this area you'll be able to see thumbnails of all the different slides that you have in your presentation. You can quite literally navigate through your presentation this way, move slides around, and a few other little tips and tricks that we'll show you as we progress. There is of course also the outline pane, and when you click onto the outline pane it looks slightly different, but you can utilize this to create an outline of your presentation and even edit text from the outline tab, which we will in further topics be teaching you how to do. Your next very important screen element in PowerPoint 2010 is the presentation window, and depending on the chosen slide layout, elements such as the title text box will be present where you can enter text or graphics. And if I just came over and changed the layout, you'll notice how that does change significantly depending upon what particular layout you're working with. The status bar resides along the bottom of your PowerPoint 2010 window, and a lot of people ignore the status bar. You will learn with us, however, that it does contain some very important information about your current presentation. For instance, as we can see here, it's showing me slide 1 of 1, so I can easily isolate which slide I'm on and how many slides are currently being utilised in this presentation. I can also tell which theme is being utilised, and when we come across this topic, that will make more sense to you. I can also look at spelling and grammar corrections and also what language I'm utilising. So always keep a good eye on your status bar, and that's pertinent for all Microsoft programs. User interface orientation. Here we're going to take a closer look at your ribbon and give you a really good user adjustment. Look at the quick access toolbar, it will be your next best friend, and the backstage view. I'm going to start this session off by showing you some tips and tricks to maximising your productivity while working with your ribbon. And of course, as you discovered through the screen elements orientation previously, the ribbon is this big chunk that you have residing up the top of your window. And of course, it's your main command centre to gaining access to the tools and commands that you'll need to utilise in PowerPoint. When we looked at it in the elements orientation, we did explain that it was made up of a multitude of different core tabs, and within each core tab there were groups in context to the tools and commands that you were seeking. So let's just take it first off on how we navigate a little bit better. A lot of users get frustrated because the ribbon is extremely clicky, having to click on these core tabs to navigate. There's actually a few other different techniques that you can employ. I'm just going to bring my mouse pointer at this point down onto my ribbon, and rather than clicking on the core tabs, I'm simply going to roll my mouse wheel backwards and forwards to easily navigate from one core tab to another. And it's more, let us just say, easier on the old clicking finger than rather than to click all the time. Another method that you can also employ is utilizing your keyboard, and that is done through something called key tip badges. To activate the key tip badges, we simply hold down the Alt key on your keyboard for roughly about 2 seconds, and all of a sudden you'll notice all these key tip badges appearing across the core tabs. All you have to do at this point is simply hit the key appropriate to the core tab on your keyboard to gain access to that particular core tab. So if I wanted to get to my insert tab, I would simply hit the letter N, and I have been taken there. And at this point, I could access any of the tools and commands within any of those groups by again striking the key tip badge appropriate to that particular tool. Now, just going to bring to your attention, if we look at the images group, you can see quite clearly P for picture, F for clip art, but then we have SC for screenshot. And if we also look at the illustrations group, you'll notice SH for shapes. In this scenario, you would just simply press one key after the other. So if I wanted to get to the shapes, I'd simply go S, then H, and it would take me there. Another interesting aspect about the key tip badges is sometimes you hit the wrong key. That happens to all of us. But what you can do, rather than reverting back to your mouse and starting from scratch, is actually utilize the escape key on your keyboard, or what I like to call the escape from Alcatraz. And if I hit my escape key, it'll take me back one step. If I hit the escape key again, it'll take me back one further step. And of course, if I hit the escape key one more time, it will remove my key tip badges altogether. So some really useful techniques with regards to navigating your ribbon in PowerPoint 2010. And I'm also going to let you in on a little bit of a secret right now. Word 2010, Excel 2010, Project 2010, Visio 2010, OneNote 2010 all have these same elements. So learning how to work with your ribbon in PowerPoint, you can also bring it across to other Microsoft 2010 programs. This new user interface of the ribbon was actually introduced in Office 2007. Now, just to take you a little bit further again, I'm going to come back to the Home tab, and at this point I'm just going to illustrate to you that in some groups, if we look at the clipboard group, you'll notice this little square with an arrow pointing down, and it's what we refer to as a launch button. And you'll notice I also have one in the font group, paragraph group, and so on. Now, depending on which group you're accessing, this will launch for you either a task pane or a dialog box. So if I click onto the clipboard one, it's going to launch my clipboard task pane, and I'll just close that now. And of course, if I was actually within text and coming through, I could actually come in and Just going to find somewhere where I've got text, bear with me, bring alive my font group, and of course if I clicked onto the launch button now in the font group, you'll discover it would launch my font dialog box. I'm just going to cancel out of there for now. So launch buttons are fabulous, and for my O3 users, you'll be very pleased to know that they have not disappeared on you. I'm now going to talk about how much real estate this ribbon takes up on your screen. And of course, the more real estate that it does take up, it takes your attention away for what you're actually doing. In other words, your productivity area. So another technique about the ribbon is being able to minimize and maximize as you require. And I'm going to show you a very, very easy and simple technique for this. I'm going to come over to my Home Core tab, which is currently the Active Core tab, and I'm simply going to double click on it, and again at this point you can see I've minimized my ribbon. I haven't lost it, don't panic, because I can still click onto any of these core tabs and gain access to the commands. As soon as I move away, it will minimize back up again. At any point I can maximize again by double clicking on any active task tab. The only element while it is in minimize mode is you cannot use the rolling of the mouse wheel technique to navigate. You would actually have to click onto the items to gain access to that particular core tab. I'm just going to maximize again by double clicking on the Home tab, and I'm also going to bring your attention over to the far right hand side where we have another toolbar area, and you'll notice this little arrow. When I hover over it, it will give me a message telling me minimize the ribbon. So you can also click onto this to minimize, click on it again to maximize. And some of you might have noticed there a keyboard shortcut. I am a fond advocate of keyboard shortcuts, so you can also use the keyboard shortcut, and I'll just demonstrate that now. Control F1 to minimize, and to maximize we would simply go Control F1 again. And please remember, you will have included in your quick reference training guide a list of keyboard shortcuts to assist you with these. We're not expecting you to remember them all. So minimizing and maximizing can improve your productivity by allowing you to focus on your particular work area. And again, that is the same instance for all Microsoft 2010 programs. What I'd like to draw your attention to now is something that resides above the ribbon. I'm just pointing to it right here. This is called your Quick Access Toolbar, and by default it sits above your ribbon. I'm going to come over to this little drop down arrow right now, click onto it, and it's going to provide me a little drop down menu, and I'm going to come straight away down to the last item here that says show below the ribbon. I'm going to click onto it, and you'll notice how I've relocated the Quick Access Toolbar below the ribbon. And if you're wondering what I'm up to, it'll all soon come clear to you. This Quick Access Toolbar is all about you. You can add commands to it that you use on a frequent basis. So we're all individuals, we all have different needs, and this is a wonderful method of adding tools and commands without having to access the ribbon all the time. So for instance, I could come over to the Format Painter and add that particular command to it rather than having to come to the clipboard group all the time. But let's start with some fewer instances of more basic commands. I'm going to click onto the drop down arrow at this point, and you'll notice by default I've already got the save command, undo and redo residing on my Quick Access Toolbar. But I could also come up and add new simply by clicking onto it, and of course you can now see the new command sitting on my Quick Access Toolbar. And of course, don't worry if you can't remember what all those icons represent, because as soon as you hover over it, it will tell you what that icon is. When I click on the drop down arrow, obviously there are a few commands in here, but not many, and of course there are way more commands than this in PowerPoint. And of course you're probably all noticing this item here called More Commands. I'm not actually going to go into there. I'm going to show you a slightly different technique that I believe is more efficient to adding commands to your Quick Access Toolbar. Mentioned earlier that the Format Painter would be something that I'd be adding, and this is a fabulous tool across all Microsoft programs. My method of adding it to your Quick Access Toolbar is simply to right-click over the tool you're seeking. You'll notice the shortcut contextual menu and simply select Add to Quick Access Toolbar, and you can see how I've added my Format Painter simply and easily. And of course, if we look at the slides group, I'm sure you'd all agree with me that inserting new slides would be a command that you'd be using on a frequent basis as well. And again, I can right click, add to quick access toolbar, and it's there for me very quickly and easily. I can also at any point right click and remove any items from the quick access toolbar. And again, does this work across all the Microsoft 2010 programs? It does indeed. So please try to forward on and use the continuity of these skills you're learning across all the Microsoft programs. The next element that I'd like to take a look at is we were looking at minimizing and maximizing. Now, the quick access toolbar, you can add as many tools and commands as you like to it. There's no limit. But let's have a look now. If I minimize my ribbon and I've got tools and commands that I use on a frequent basis sitting on my quick access toolbar, you'll see that I need to visit my ribbon less frequently, and I can make use of those tools and commands sitting there for quick access, hence the name quick access toolbar. And I'm just going to maximize my ribbon again. The other interesting aspect is the key tip badges. If I hold down my Alt key again to launch the key tip badges, you'll notice that even my quick access tools on my quick access toolbar, I can gain access and they're represented numerically. So I hope you will enjoy the quick access toolbar as much as I do across all the different Microsoft programs. The other interesting component in PowerPoint 2010 and of course all the other 2010 programs is this File tab, and it's what we refer to as the backstage view. When I click onto it, you'll notice such items as save, save as, open, close. So you'll have access through this area to all the main file command areas, including printing and saving and sending. Launching PowerPoint. We're utilising Windows 7, so we're going to look at launching PowerPoint from your desktop. And with this, we'll be looking at the Windows 7 search feature and looking at pinning to the Windows 7 taskbar and Start menu. Going to start this session by demonstrating how to launch PowerPoint 2010. Now please note that we are utilising Windows 7 on our desktop as the operating system that we're using. When I come across to the Start button, which is located in the bottom left hand corner, and I click onto it, it will launch my Start menu. And of course what a lot of people do at this point is they come and click onto all programs, seek out the Microsoft Office group, and then locate PowerPoint from here and click on it to launch it. With Windows 7, this is a rather tedious way of doing it. I'm just going to come and click back and bring your attention to this Search Programs and Files text box at the bottom of my Start menu. And I'm simply going to type in Power, and this search function works super fast with Windows 7, and it also works if you're trying to seek a PowerPoint file or pictures that are included in a PowerPoint presentation and so on. And you'll see all these different categories coming through the search results. If I take myself right to the top though, you'll notice I've got search results for programs. And of course here I've got the wonderful Microsoft PowerPoint 2010 located nicely and easily. And of course at this point I could simply click on it to launch the program. However, if you know you're going to use Microsoft PowerPoint on a regular basis, you're better off pinning it to your Windows 7 taskbar. And your Windows 7 taskbar is this area that resides across the bottom of your Windows 7 desktop. And you'll notice on mine I've already got some program icons residing there, allowing me very quick access to launching these particular programs. So I'm going to come back up to my PowerPoint 2010 search result for the program, and I'm simply going to right click over it to launch the shortcut menu. And from here you'll notice items such as Pin to Taskbar and also another one, Pin to Start menu. I'm going to go for Pin to Taskbar at this point, and as soon as I click onto that, you'll now notice that I've got the PowerPoint icon residing on my Windows 7 taskbar, making it a very, very simple process to launch whenever I require. I'm just going to click onto my desktop to disengage the Start menu, and also bring to your attention that with it located on my Windows 7 taskbar, I can click and drag and reposition it wherever I like as well. There is also a fantastic new feature with Windows 7 in the fact if I right click over that particular program icon, I get what we call a jump list. And from here I can see any recent PowerPoint presentations that I've been working on that I can access very quickly and easily, or I can even choose to unpin the program from my taskbar as well. I'm going to come back now and click on the Start menu and talk about that element of pinning to the Start menu. Some people prefer to create a second hierarchical structure of programs that they use on a recent basis, or some people prefer to pin to the Start menu because it's a more traditional method of accessing programs. And what you'll notice in the Start menu is there is a list of all the recent programs that I've accessed, and then up the top, divided by this blue bar here, you'll see items that I've actually pinned to my Start menu. So if I came back into the search programs and files and typed in Power again, so that I can get that fast search result, come back up to PowerPoint 2010, right click, but this time pin to the Start menu, and I'll just click away and relaunch the Start menu now, you'll discover that I've now got PowerPoint 2010 residing permanently on my Start menu. And of course, at any point in time, I can right click over it and choose from here as well to unpin from the taskbar or unpin from the Start menu. So a few different alternatives to being able to find a quick and simple method of having these program icons around for quick and easy access. So without further ado, I will now come down to my Windows 7 taskbar and click onto my PowerPoint 2010 icon to launch the program. New presentations. Here we're going to look at a variety of ways of creating new presentations beyond the blank template and look at the Save As and Save functions. Once you start PowerPoint 2010, you'll find that it'll open up with a blank template, which is what you're seeing in front of you right now. This blank template, however, is only one of many other templates that can be actually accessed from Microsoft Office Online. But of course, the blank template allows you to start working and creating a presentation straight away. What I'm going to demonstrate now, though, is how you can access other templates. And of course, when we talk about a template, it's a pattern or a blueprint of a slide or group of slides that you can base your presentations on. I'm going to navigate myself up to the File tab on my ribbon right now, and of course when I click onto it, it will take me into the Backstage view. I'm going to come down the menu to New, and as soon as I come through there, you'll see the available templates and themes area. And of course at the present time you can see the blank template highlighted in orange, illustrating to you which particular presentation you're using at present. However, if I came down, you'll notice down here I've got PowerPoint presentations and slides. Click onto it and there's a whole variety of different classifications that you can explore for particular presentations that you might need to create. And I'm just going to come into the business presentations at this point, and you'll see a whole variety. Now, if I just look at this World Wide Web technology presentation template, you'll also notice off to the far right-hand side, it gives a little bit of a spiel on this particular presentation. In other words, who it was provided from, the download size, and also provides a rating. And this one's pretty good. It's got, 4.5 stars. Fantastic. However, always check to see how many people have actually voted on it. They could have 1 vote and 5 stars, if you get what I'm meaning. Now, of course, to download this particular template, you can either click onto this download icon here, or you can simply double click onto it, and of course you'll see the downloading template message coming through, and we'll just give it a moment to download. And once it's downloaded, it'll come up on your PowerPoint program and you can start working with it. And we'll just give this a few more moments. Shouldn't be too much terribly longer. And of course it's always worthwhile exploring the template presentations because it allows you a little bit more flexibility when you're learning presentations or how to create PowerPoint presentations. And also, if you find something that really meets your needs, you don't have to start from scratch and reinvent the wheel. And this is likewise in a lot of other Microsoft programs such as Word and Excel. They too have templates which are definitely worthwhile exploring, and you'd follow the exact same process. And of course at this point you can now see that our template has downloaded, and of course as we discussed it being a pattern or blueprint of a slide or group of slides, you'll notice that this one in fact does come with quite a few slides. And if I come through, you'll see there's 22 different slides to this one which you can then manipulate. Now, when we do utilize the templates, they also utilize themes to control the consistency of fonts, colors, and graphics used in your presentation. And this really does go a long way in making effective presentations, and we will talk more about themes shortly. Another aspect I'd like to cover off with creating a new presentation is this one. I'm going to click back up onto File again, come back down to New, and come back to this Available Templates and Themes area. A lot of the times with Microsoft files, people discover, oh, here's a PowerPoint presentation that I could use that someone else has already created and it's fantastic. They open it and they start to work on it, and they forget to save it as a different name. So I want to come across that issue and bring to your attention that when I come across here, you'll see New from Existing. And if I click onto the New from Existing, it'll open up a window that is very similar to the Open dialog box that we get, except this one is New from Existing Presentation. I could then come along, locate a PowerPoint presentation, open it up, and you'll actually discover that this is a copy of the presentation rather than opening up that presentation, and you could work quite safely without risking corrupting the original file that you're working with. And yes, I'm going to give you a hint here, it is available in Word and Excel as well, so please do look into that New from Existing. Once you start to work through your PowerPoint presentations and you're happy with them, and of course we will teach you those skills shortly, it's important to understand how to do a save as and do a save. Now these two particular functions are slightly different in the fact that the save as function is when you name a file for the first time, and the save function is just updating any changes that you've made to it. So at this point, if I came and clicked up onto File, you'll actually notice the Save As function in here. And as soon as I click onto it, you'll see the Save As dialog box arrive. I have got an area here for the file name where I could place in the file name, and of course I could locate what folder I wanted it to be saved in. You can also, to get the Save As dialog box, use a wonderful keyboard shortcut, which is your F12. And this F12 function for Save As works across all your Microsoft products, so it's just a handy one to keep in mind. Once you've made some changes and you need to save, you can always just come to your Quick Access toolbar here and click onto the Save icon, or hold down your Control key on your keyboard and strike the letter S, which is the keyboard shortcut for saving. And of course, if I went onto the File tab, you'll also notice that the Save tool is residing in your Backstage area as well.